it's Danielle. Welcome to today's free video for New Year's Eve. It is the last trading day in 2018, and I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to 2019. So, what do we have? Well, this week was an interesting week in the markets. Well, rather, the past 5 days or so, as it's Monday. Because we got a short covering rally back up to the mean at about the 8 EMA on the daily charts for the S&P. So, what do we do from here? Well, I, for one, still have a shorter term bearish sentiment, but the difficulty right now is that because the market has only rallied back up to the 8 EMA, it's really not that good of a reversal, right? You really want the market to rally back up to at least the 21 or the 34 EMA to really give you an edge on those shorts. However, I do have a short bias in this market. So, what's a trader to do? Well, what I've been doing is I've started identifying levels where I want to look at some shorts in two sectors. That's going to be the consumer discretionary sector as well as the communication sector. Why these sectors? Well, they're pretty broken down, and because they have rallied back up to the mean on a couple of these different charts, so I think we're going to have an edge in shorting them. Now, keep in mind, these are pretty aggressive levels to short at. That's why I'm going to give you multiple zones. And so what I'm basically doing is I'm kind of averaging in on the way up, looking for the eventual fall. So let's go ahead and look at the communication sector, and I'm going to look at some trades in... Alexa, we don't want to listen to you. You're not helpful right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple different trades in the communication sector, XLC. Keep in mind you can always just trade that as well. But really I'm focused on TTWO and Netflix. So let's take a look at the charts.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. So looking at XLC on our daily chart, this is exactly what I was talking about when I say that it has rallied from the low that we made last week, and we rallied back to the mean. Now, where is the mean? The mean is the 8, the 21, the 34 EMA, really around this area, but generally we're going to say the 8 and the 21. Now, when you're shorting something, it's the same thing like when you're going long. You know, you don't want to buy it at a super aggressive level, and if you look at it this way, if you flip it around, you put the minus sign in there and you say, well, you know, if I was buying this, would this be an aggressive level to buy? Yeah, it definitely would be. You know, a better spot would be the 21, 34, and the 50 is the best. But the problem is you just never know if it's actually going to go to that level. So if you're being super conservative and you look at that and you say, okay, well, I'm only going to buy at the 50. Okay, that's fine, but, you know, it's only hit it 3 times. So what I'm doing is I'm really just kind of averaging in and adding a little bit as it goes up, looking for the eventual short. So looking at XLC here, obviously we're in a downtrend. My first level is coming in at the 42 area, and we did go ahead and hit and fail from that level, but I think that it could still trade a little bit higher. You can see, and I know there's a lot of lines on here, but I mean, the main point is that there are so many lines because there's so much overhead resistance. So if you're looking at XLC and you're saying, okay, well, I have a cluster at about 42, and then I have another one at about 4270, let's call it, between 4250 and 4290, so 4275 or so. If this first one does break, and we've had a pretty strong rally in Netflix the last couple days, if this does break, this is the next area that I'll look at for resistance. Beyond that, you do have some areas up at the 34 and the 50. I doubt we get that high, but I'm going to start nibbling on this a bit here. If we go back and look at the Facebook example, the one that, the last short that we had on Facebook, you know, we've been doing the same thing over and over again, shorting it once it gets back to the 21 EMA. This last time, it did give us a little bit of heat up to the 50, but it did eventually break once it hit the 50. So it's kind of a similar thing that I'm looking at there. So within communications, what do I like? I like take 2. So this obviously downtrend here. Why do I like this one? Well, this one did rally a little bit more, so it gives me a little bit more of an edge on the short. As we traded up into the 34 EMA, barely touched it before it started going lower. So I did add some short exposure here, and I'm looking to trade this down to 95.42 to 92.22, about in that area. My stop would have to be above the 50 period simple, which is quite a ways higher. But I like that one. The next one is Netflix. Now this one I find a little bit more risky just because it has been strong. But at the same time, because it's been strong, we've rallied up into resistance. So if you look at the previous rallies that we've gotten on Netflix, the most aggressive level that I have is going to be 270 to start to look for a short. If we do in fact break that level, I'm looking at it at the 50 period simple. So I like those two ideas. It's just going to come down to the lower time frame chart. I mean, you just got to watch the lower time frame chart, and if we get a hit and a failure, that's the trigger into the trade. So with Netflix, I'm not triggered into the trade yet. With TTWO, I did get triggered into this trade. If you look at it on a 30-minute chart, you can see how it came up and hit resistance and started trading lower. And then also on the 195, the chart that I like to use, I like getting those ready and fire sell signals on the 195. So those are basically my two ideas within the communication sector. I think Google looks good as well. Henry also had some EA on, so I'll go into more of this in the premium video. But basically just know that I'm starting to look at the communications sector for a short. Might have to wait a little bit longer for it to rally a little bit higher, but I'm nibbling on it here.
All right, thank you so much. I just want to tell everyone I hope you have an excellent New Year's Eve. Stay safe, be careful, and we will be back with you on Wednesday in the trading room. Cheers!